The party laid around a campfire, Briston tending to a bubbling stew as Bob Victualgazer strummed a calming tune on his lute. Suddenly, a dire boar leapt through the trees and crashed into the stew. The hot liquid splattered against its flesh, forcing the boar to let out a scream as it raced off into the dark woods. "That took me hours to make," cried Briston as he picked up his battle axe and chased after the boar. "You're going in the next one!" Hey everybody, Bob here, back from the holidays with another recipe from Heroes Feast, the official D&D cookbook. This time we're going to be making Traveler's Stew, a hearty, meaty, earthy stew that is simple, but requires some time to make. So, let's jump into that cooking adventure. For this recipe, we're going to need a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1.5 pounds of stew meat cut into 1-inch pieces, 1 cup of dark beer, 4 cups of beef broth, 2 large carrots cut into 1/2-inch rounds, 3 Yukon Gold potatoes peeled and cut into 1-inch pieces, 1 large yellow onion chopped. I have mine chopped into various sizes to give some texture difference, a tablespoon of vegetable oil, a teaspoon of sweet paprika, and a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. First, we're going to prepare the stew meat. Get a large bowl and add a 1/4 cup of flour, teaspoon of salt, and some coarse ground pepper. Hand toss the stew meat in this mixture to coat. If you actually try to toss it, flour will go everywhere. This is also a good time to check if any of your pieces are too big and cut them down as necessary. Next, warm up the tablespoon of oil in a large pot over medium-high heat. Make sure that you can see the oil shine and it moves around the pot easily before you move on. Add up to half the meat to the pot and cook on each side until it's browned, about 1 minute per side. Don't crowd the meat or you risk the sides cooking unevenly or accidentally steaming the meat instead of searing it with the heat directly. If you've made other stews before, you've probably seen this technique of pre-searing the meat before putting it into the liquid. And the reason for this is the Maillard reaction, the event that causes the browning of the outside of the meat due to the high temperatures. This is what gives steak and all other meats that deep, rich, complex flavor. And by doing it all in one pot, you're going to not only get the meat itself having that browning, but you're also going to end up with browning on the bottom of the pan, which we call fond. And this is great because it's going to cause a burst of flavor inside of our stew. Once the meat is done browning, about 5 minutes, remove to a plate and continue the process until all the meat is browned, adding more oil, 1/2 tablespoon at a time, as needed. See that stuff on the bottom of the pan? That is fond. If you've ever had the slightly burnt cheese after you've made a grilled cheese, or tasted the kind of burnt bits of biscuit on the pan after you've removed them, that has been through the Maillard reaction. This is the steak equivalent. We don't want to lose this. To capture that fond, pour in a cup of dark beer and use a wooden spoon to scrape up all of those brown bits. This release of fond into liquid is called deglazing, which will let us keep all of that delicious glory. You may also use wine here or just more stock if you'd like, but beer is going to bring a nice malty, earthy flavor to our stew that's going to make it feel hearty. Return the browned meat to the pot along with 4 cups of broth and 1 teaspoon of sweet paprika. Can't find anything at the store called sweet paprika? That's because this is considered the default flavoring for paprika, and so most of the time it's just called paprika. Now reduce the heat to low, cover, and let simmer until the meat is super tender, probably about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, depending on the fat in your stew meat, the actual temperature of your liquid, and where the blood moon sits in the infernal calendar. Once the meat is tender, go ahead and add the chopped onions, cut carrots, and diced potatoes, and let simmer until the vegetables are tender, probably about 30 minutes. If you can't find a Yukon Gold potato, make sure to look out for a medium starch potato. A high starch potato like a russet will turn into a mash inside of this, and a low starch or waxy potato, such as new potato or fingerling potato, will hold its shape and be too firm to the bite. You want those in-betweens that will be able to hold a shape but be soft to the bite like the rest of the stew is. Finally, stir in the parsley and taste the stew, adding salt and pepper as desired. then serve hot. As the book calls out, it is best served in a wooden bowl and with a wooden spoon. Did I go out and get a wooden bowl for this? Well, honestly, I'm a little bit more upset at myself. I mean, I have a pair of dragon clawed gloves and an elven curved sword that my friends and I made, but I didn't have a wooden bowl. So, yeah. Either way, let's give it a taste. Should have had a smaller wooden spoon. This is a fantastic stew for just a few ingredients. The sweetness of the onion and the carrot is coming out. The earthiness of the beer and the potatoes really makes it feel hearty. And by cooking and braising that steak ahead of time, we got that Maillard reaction that is giving a lot of depth to this stew. So this is excellent. You can serve yours with some dinner rolls to help soak up all of that deliciousness. I happen to be serving mine with my jalapeno popper dinner rolls, which brings a lot of freshness and heat to the dish. You can find the recipe for these on my recipe site, bobappetitrecipes.com. But what do you want to serve with a dish like this? Leave a comment down below. And as always, like this video if you want to see more content like this, be it Heroes Feast recipes or just in general nerd stuff. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you can be reminded every time my videos come out. As always, whether or not it's at the gaming table or the dinner table, have fun. We'll catch you next time.